Hi, my name's Nate, and I guess this is my first commentary video. We'll see how it goes, right? You can subscribe if you want. You can not subscribe if you don't want. It's either or. This is a great way to start because it's something that's near and dear to me. First of all, I think people should be able to do whatever they want. If someone wants to gamble, they can gamble. If someone wants to live stream while gambling, they can do whatever they want. But there's something that has been said, I think today or a couple of days ago, very recently, about SteveWillDoit. Like Brendan Schaub, which in my mind, Brendan Schaub is a scumbag. He's a douchebag. His podcast hasn't been successful in a very long time. He's friends with the worst comedian, I think, in the world, which is Brian Callen. There's no one as unfunny as Brian Callen. Brian Callen is really the lol cow of comedy. These people are so irrelevant. I get that Steve will do it, but this guy takes what he does very seriously, man. What these idiots don't understand, and Brian Callen, Brendan Schaub, I keep mixing that's how irrelevant they are. I mix up their first names. But what they don't get is that fucking Steve will do it. He's constantly giving money to people. Okay, he's changing people's lives. He gives cars to people. He's one of the very few that really gives back. He gives back a lot. He's up there. If he's not number one, he's definitely in the Hall of Fame of internet personalities that are really generous. And so he might have a little bit of towards the casino, but he's got a relationship with that casino. These guys have no insight. They don't know anything. I don't have any insight. I don't know Steve will do, but I watch his stuff, and clearly, if they let him borrow this amount, it's because they know he's good. So these guys, man, they have no clue what they're talking about. And so, again, they're just trying to poke at a guy that everybody's talking about right now because people like Steve will do. He's a very likable person. And he just got back on YouTube, and he's like, people watch his stuff, people watch his live stream, which is something that's not happening with Brian Callen and Brendan Schaub. Like, their podcast is garbage. It's been garbage for a very long time, and it will never be good again. Brendan Schaub had a good thing going on when he was working with Theo Von, but even Theo Von ditched him. And now he's stuck with that Brian Callen lol cow. And so Brian Callen and Brendan Schaub, they're both fucking idiots. They're trying to be fighters, but they were fighters, but then now they're doing comedy, but they're both unfunny. Go ratio them. They're the most unfunny people I have ever seen. And so, like, to say bullshit about a guy that literally has given multiple cars to people in need, as well as money, as well as he's an all-around very good person, in my opinion. And I get why it affected him. There's the fact that the biggest entitled, untalented, unfunny prick on the internet, which is Brendan Schaub, to poke at him, to fucking just had to talk about him just to get that little bit of clout he probably got just by saying his name. This is how they do it. They talk about the unsuccessful podcast, Brendan Schaub's and Brian Callen. They'll talk about someone that's very popular right now. Like they're going to talk about. They just talked about Steve will do it because everybody's watching Steve will do it because he came back on YouTube, and they're going to say his name for like 15 seconds, and it's going to be in the title just to get clicks, just to grift on somebody else's name. And so, there's probably people saying you're promoting gambling, but you know what? This is my opinion on this. Like, promoting gambling, people are allowed to do whatever they want. In the end, you're an adult. You decide if you gamble or not. It has nothing to do with them. This is the content he does, and he's a very, very generous person. He gives back to. If you go watch all Steve will do it VODs, you'll see just how much money, cars, things that he's given to total strangers. And so it doesn't matter if it's sponsorship money or if it's his money. It's still, he didn't have to do that, and he still did it and still continues to do it. And so the fact that he's pointing out that he's got a problem, he's in debt with the casinos. If this guy can borrow this much money from a casino, that's something that these two guys will never be able to do. That's a business relationship he has with them. He live streams in the casino, and it brings a whole ton of business to the casino. And there's way more things like underneath that Brendan Schaub, Brian Callen, they don't know because it's over for them. No one watches the fighter and the kid. It's garbage. It's a garbage podcast made by two unfunny, middle-aged idiots that have never been funny and that are somehow being pushed by Joe Rogan. He can do whatever he wants. If Joe Rogan likes them, we'll be it. But I know that Brendan Schaub hasn't been on the Joe Rogan Experience in a long time. Brian Callen, like he went back, but I think it's probably just because Joe Rogan had a spot to fill. Because if he could have gotten somebody else, he probably would have. But that's all I have to say about that. Obviously, what I think ultimately happened is Brian Callen and Brendan Schaub really have nothing to talk about. They have nothing to talk about, and so they're using SteveWillDoit's name, just to get some extra clout, because they're pretty irrelevant people. And so that's pretty much what I have to say about that. And tune in for more. I'm Nate Z. All right. Have a wonderful evening.